So lying on your backs, starting with initial connection to the floor, just really feeling what's contacting the floor. Where does your attention first go with what's making contact? Back of your shoulders, your arms or elbows, your low back or pelvis. And then also notice the places that are not touching the floor. How far away from the floor are those places? Is there any difference between the right side and the left side? And sense into your breathing, quality. Feeling the lungs fill and the movement in your ribs. Thinking back to the breathing lesson last week maybe. Your chest lifts and lowers. Having an awareness of the ribs on your sides and into your back. And I want you to imagine for a moment that you have an imaginary bowl full of water. And you're going to place it on your lower abdomen. And just balance it there. And notice what the water level in the bowl would be in your imagination. Would the water level tilt a little to the right or to the left? Would it tilt more upwards towards your chest or downwards? Could it be spilling maybe diagonally one way up and to the right or down and to the left? Just really tune in to any subtleties that you can imagine in how you're lying there and how that bowl of water would rest on your abdomen. And then let that image go. You can set your imaginary bowl someplace safe to the side. And then really get a sense of your backbone as you're lying there, your spine. Which spaces on your spine have clear contact with the floor? Maybe you can even feel the back distinctly of 1 or 2 or 3 vertebrae touching the floor. And of course, noticing those places of your spine that are lifted off the ground. Maybe the small of your back or your neck. And if they're not already, please bend both your knees up. And have your feet a comfortable distance apart, little ways apart. And your knees sort of balanced over your feet, not together. Good. And I'm going to have you gently open your right knee out to the right and bring it back to the middle. And do this several times. And as with all these movements, really listen. Some of you might only take your right knee an inch or 2 to the right, while others of you, might drop it closer towards the floor. So really listening into your pelvis, your hip, your low back, really making sure you're taking care of yourself. Just listening to how the pelvis might begin to roll with the leg going out and coming back to the middle. And then go ahead and pause with the knee up towards the ceiling. And then again, take your right knee out to the side, just gently feeling what other parts of your body might move with this. What happens in your pelvis, in your lower spine? Is there any weight shifting across your ribs and your shoulder blades? Does the right side of your pelvis get heavier on the floor? The left side get a little lighter? And then again, just pause. And then I want you to take the same right leg and drop your right knee towards your left knee and bring it back to the middle. Now you might want to spread your legs a little further so there's space for that knee to drop. Just gently dropping it, again listening. Some of you might only move the smallest amount, and sometimes that's even harder, moving that little teeny amount and tuning into just the smallest movements. But sometimes when you can get to that point where you can barely move, but you can still feel the rest of your body responding, profound changes can happen. I have found the more I do these lessons, the less I do. I do less movement, but I feel more through myself. So as you drop that right knee towards the left, see if you can also let it lengthen a little bit, as if somebody's just gently pulling your thigh and your knee away from your hip. So it's dropping towards the left knee and lengthening away from your hip and trunk. Lightly and easily. As you do this movement, notice how you're breathing. Feel any shifting of weight across your pelvis. How your back shifts pressure on the floor. And feel how you're coming to the inside edge of your right foot, and you're keeping your left knee fairly towards the ceiling, lengthening that right knee away from your pelvis, feeling, you might even feel the effect of that up along your right side, your ribs, maybe even into your right shoulder. And just pause for a moment. If it's comfortable, let your legs down long. And see if you can feel any effect of these movements, any differences between your right leg and left leg as you're resting here. Feel into your breathing. Are there any changes in the right side of your trunk? How the lungs fill and the ribs move compared to the left side? And then go ahead and bend up both your knees again, please, one at a time. And keep your feet a good distance apart. And just gently begin exploring taking the left knee, dropping it down to the side, rolling across the bottom of your foot to the outside edge of your left foot, bringing the knee back to the middle, starting with a very small, safe, comfortable movement, and really listening. Remember that the authority over the safety of movement is inside of you. It's not what the teacher is telling you to do or not do. How do you listen to yourself, to your own responses, and trust those? Feeling if the left side of the pelvis gets heavier and the right side might lift a little bit. Just that little bit of rotation. See if you can feel that up into your trunk and ribs. Does the weight change under your shoulder blades at all? Good. And just pause with your knee up for a moment. And then begin exploring dropping your left knee towards your right knee, towards your right foot. Plenty of space between your feet. Doing your best to keep the right knee mostly towards the ceiling. So first, how do you make space between the knees? And then thinking of that lengthening. At what point can you begin lengthening the left leg, the knee, sort of away from the trunk? So the knee comes down, the pelvis comes down. You might even feel it lengthening along your left side. And what does your right foot and leg do to support that movement? Feeling the influence of the weight shifting across the parts of your trunk. Notice the rhythm of your breathing and if your jaw is staying soft. Notice if your head would like to roll. If your head was going to roll, would it want to roll to the left or to the right? You can do it a few times, letting your head roll left. See how natural and easy that feels. Or you can do it a few times, letting your head roll right. And here's the really interesting thing about these lessons is occasionally you'll be certain that a person's head is supposed to roll left or right. But only a percentage of the people in the room will agree with you. And another portion of the room will be just as certain that their head is supposed to roll the opposite way. And next time your knees are in the middle, go ahead and pause. If it's comfortable, you can let your legs down long. And just take a full rest. Check in with your contact with the floor and your breathing. Just learning to slow down and listen. And again, please bend your knees up one at a time. Feet a good distance apart. And what's it like to take both knees to the right? Using that same kind of alignment with the left knee where it goes rightward and lengthens. Again, only to tolerance, only where it feels really safe, easy, effortless, light. And bringing your knees back to the middle is just as easy as letting them go down to the right. Really feeling the weight shifting across the pelvis now, and up through the spine. Feeling how the soles of your feet support you as you shift to the outside of the right foot and the inside of the left foot. Can you feel the front of your chest turning? What happens in the front of your chest, your sternum and ribs? Which way does your head want to go? Just pause for a moment in the middle. And then begin dropping your knees to the left. Just gently at first. You can make a very small movement. Really feeling the effect throughout your whole body. Your pelvis, your spine. How small of a movement can you make while feeling it up through your spine, maybe even all the way to your head? Or does it take a larger movement to feel the influence all the way up between your shoulder blades, your neck and head? And experiment with letting your head roll, discovering which way might be the most comfortable or familiar, or the most congruent. Is it more congruent to roll your head to the right or to the left? Does the right knee just naturally get long? What do you feel behind your shoulder blades? And then just pause for a moment in the middle. And let your legs down long. And take your imaginary bowl of water and place it on your lower abdomen. And just see if the tilt or the shift of the water in the bowl has changed at all. Maybe it's tilting more left or right or up or down. Maybe it's leveling out. Good. And again, place it to the side, imaginarily, and bend both your knees up. And now place the palms of your hands together and stretch your arms up so your fingertips are pointing to the ceiling. So this is an arm triangle. And a few times lengthen your arms as though you're reaching towards the ceiling and coming back down. This will be a very small movement again. Try not to strain or effort. Just see, how does that happen? Lengthening your arms gently towards the ceiling and coming back down several times. feeling your chest soften. And notice, is it easier, or would your preference be to breathe out as you lengthen your arms and in as you relax? Try that a few times. And when you've tried that a few times, try it the other way. Breathing in as you lengthen towards the ceiling and out as you relax. See, what might your preference be? And rest your arms for a moment after you've done that a few times. Now, in this part of the lesson, it's particularly important that if your arms or your shoulders get uncomfortable, that you just rest them down. We're going to use this position a lot, but if for any reason you can't do this position because of your shoulders or your neck or something, you can just as easily bend your elbows and hold your palms over your chest. You can have each opposite hand hold the opposite elbow in that configuration. You can hold your shoulders. So you can do this without your arms having to be extended over your chest as other options. So remember, in all of these lessons, modification to comfort is important. In Feldenkrais, we do not want to stimulate the pain response, reminding the brain that movement hurts. We want to find ways for the brain to feel safe with new movements and new activities. So again, put your hands in this triangle position if that's comfortable for you, or again, you can modify it if you need to for your shoulders. And gently begin tilting your triangle to the right, but not letting your palms slide. So you'll only go as far to the right, figuring out what can you do with your chest and your shoulders. Coming back to the center. Yeah, and if you're able to keep both elbows straight, do. If that's hard on your shoulders, you can modify it. You can bring your hands over, lower them down towards your belly button more if you need to, or bend your elbows. But we're really trying to create a movement in the shoulders and the shoulder blades with this position. So if you're modifying it, sort of imagine, what would my constriction be if I was keeping my palms together? Nice, nice. And can you follow your hands with your head and your eyes? So as your palms go to the right, your head and eyes go to the right, just following and relaxing to the middle. Feeling your left shoulder peeling away from the floor as you tilt to the right. And feeling it settle back on the floor as you come back to the middle. And when you're ready, just rest for a moment. Let your shoulders rest. Feel your contact with the floor. And when you're ready, bring your palms together. Have your knees bent unless it's more comfortable to have them long. Usually it's more comfortable to have them bent, but in some cases, people are more comfortable with them long. So do what feels right for you. Come to your triangle position or your modified triangle position. And again, take your hands to the right, so the same movement. If you're modified, really feeling, what would I have to do with my shoulders, with your chest and ribs to go rightward? And can you gently roll your head to the left as your arms go to the right? Now again, this is where you really want to listen to your neck and your shoulders. It's not about stretching, right? It's not range of motion. It's really feeling for how far can I go with that effortless, graceful quality. How soft can I be with myself? There's sort of this underlying theme with our lessons, like how soft can you be with yourself in these lessons? And how soft or gentle can you be with yourself in life? How often that inner dialogue can be so harsh. And after you've done that a few times, just do maybe 2 or 3 with the head following the hands again, and then rest. Generally keeping your knees to the ceiling, but you might feel what happens through your feet. Is there anything happening further down your trunk, into your pelvis? Do your feet press into the floor in any way to help? Good. And come to a rest. Feeling into the right side of your body and how it's connecting with the floor. And the left side. Good. And again, bring your knees up to bend them, standing through your feet, and your hands in a triangle position. One more variation. Hands to the right, head to the left, but see if you can follow your hands with your eyes and still breathe without clenching your teeth. If it's too hard to follow your hands, so your eyes and your hands would be going right and your head would be turning left, but if that's a little too hard, what you can do is focus on a point of the ceiling and let your eyes stay fixed on that point while taking your hands and shoulders right and your head left. Really listening to your breathing. Let your jaw and your tongue be soft. Good. And then do a few, letting your head, your eyes, and your hands all go in the same directions. Good. And again, pause. You know, it's interesting, these pauses that we do in these lessons. If you've watched a baby or an animal, they play, 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 and they rest. They play, 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 and they rest. We have a puppy, and I have to say it's the most perfect puppy we've ever had. And we've earned it. But he, he does. He plays, but then he'll lay down 10, 15 minutes, which is kind of unusual for the kind of puppies we've had. But then he'll be up and he'll play, and he'll rest. And there's kind of this natural flow and cycle to life that we in our culture have stepped out of. Right? What do? We go, and go, and go. And then we squeeze one more thing in. Oh, maybe 2 more. And then we try to sleep at night after revving ourselves up all day. So you could say we go and we rest and we go and we rest, but we do that, in 12-hour cycles instead of within the hour or within every 2 hours throughout our day. So this is an optimal way for the brain to learn. It's how babies learn, and they're growing the most neurons of any of us, right? Taking in information, but at a pace that the brain can really take it in. Okay, so please bend your knees again, one at a time. And just once or twice tilt both your knees to the left as we did earlier, and just see how that goes now. See if anything's changed. Feeling the lengthening of the right knee. Good, and bringing them back up. And then bring your arms in the triangle form and lengthen them again towards the ceiling. Of course, listening, making sure this is safe for your shoulders and your neck. And really, can you lengthen and feel your throat open? Your chin might tilt away from your chest. Your head might roll upward a little bit when you lengthen. Sort of exposing your throat to a very vulnerable position. Lengthening your hands towards the ceiling, opening your throat, letting your chin lift, and coming back down. And can you relax your jaw as you raise your hands up and exhale? So you breathe in as you come to neutral. As you reach towards the ceiling, you breathe out, open your jaw. Just let your throat open up. You might also sense your lower back wants to come towards the floor to help this. So the waist kind of presses into the floor as the shoulders raise and the jaw opens and you exhale. Just a beautiful movement, softening that chest. And after a few times, go ahead and just rest your arms down again for a moment. A couple of breaths, and bring your hands back into the triangle position. And let's experiment going to the left. First, it could be a very small movement, palms glued together, feeling the right shoulder peeling away a bit from the floor, allowing your head and your eyes to follow. Breathing. Noticing how the pressure shifts along your back. Does it shift across your pelvis and into your legs? And then the next few movements, let your head go to the right. Of course, rest your arms if your shoulders get tired. Hands, shoulders left, head to the right. Gentle again. It's not about stretching the neck, just feeling that soft quality of differentiation. That's what we call this when we start taking things in opposite direction. And everybody, just let your arms rest for a moment. Using these strategies of differentiation are just terrific ways of sort of challenging the presumed organization. The brain has decided to organize you in this way, and for many, many things it has worked very well. But at a certain point, this organization can interfere with doing things even better. So one of your most primitive organizations is to take your head, your eyes, your mouth, and your trunk, turning all together to the right, all together to the left. The very first thing that an infant does after birth if it's lucky and gets set on Mama's chest, is it automatically begins to root. That's that taking its mouth, looking for the suckle, looking to suckle the nipple. And it finds the breast and it turns its head, its nose smells the milk, its eyes see, and the whole body orients left or right. And as we get older, we can mix these up. There's lots of skiing when your head is looking down the mountain, but your knees or your waist are going left and right. Golfing, you know how they talk about golfers when they lift their head up? It's because they didn't keep it down and differentiate their shoulders from their head and their eyes, right? Taking their shoulders and swinging it while keeping their head and eyes down. But when we get stressed, we'll start to lose that differentiation. And then when we use these movements, we begin to free our bodies up again. All right, triangle again. Palms to the right, to the left, head to the right, and if you can, take your eyes to the left and back to the middle. And again, if it's too challenging to just roll your eyes to the left following your hands, pick a point on the ceiling and fixate your eyes on that while taking your hands left and your head right. And then just a few times take everything to the left again, head and eyes and hands. And then just pause again. We'll take a brief pause. Feeling how you fit against the ground, what's in contact in your back, your breath. And bend your knees up. And just a couple times, take your knees to the right. Feel what that's like now. Making room for your left knee to drop between your feet. Notice if there's a spontaneous lengthening of your left knee, lengthening of your left side. Pause in the middle. Make a triangle with your hands and arms. And this time try taking your hands to the right and your knees very gently to the left. Really listening. Don't overdo it on your back. Don't perform for me. Listen. Find your own quality and safety of movement. As you feel the lengthening in your right knee, can you feel the lengthening in your arms? Especially that left arm lengthening to your right from the shoulder. And which way does your head want to turn? Does it want to follow your knees or does it want to follow your hands? And then pause in the middle and try going the other way a few times. So your hands are going left and your knees are going right. And again, which way does your head want to go? You can play with it, letting it go a few times to the right, following the knees. Or you could let it go a few times to the left, following the palms. When you've played with that a few times, both direction, to your satisfaction, just take a rest. Let the brain absorb that. Feeling how you're contacting the floor. Feel the breath and the expansion of your ribs in front and sides into your back. And bend your knees up. Bring your hands together and form your triangle. Take your palms to the right and your knees to the left. And intentionally let your head roll to the left to follow your knees. So head and knees left, palms to the right, and back to the middle several times. And can your eyes follow your hands? So eyes and hands to the right, head and knees to the left, while breathing and letting your jaw be soft. Can you go both directions? So when you come back to the middle, go ahead and take your hands and eyes to the left and your knees and head to the right. Every once in a while, just kind of make sure your jaw is soft. And why don't you a couple times let everything go left and everything go right. Just a few times let it all go together. Good. And let your arms rest. Go ahead and keep your knees up. Letting your arms rest. One last time, bring your palms together, making your triangle, reaching straight up towards the ceiling, softening the chest, letting the chin lift and the throat open, exhaling as you reach. Inhaling as you come back to neutral. Feeling your lower back, the small of your back kind of pressing down into the floor as you're reaching up. Exhaling, mouth open, jaw dropped. And when you've done that 2 or 3 times, just rest your arms down, let your legs down long. And get one last picture of that bowl of water resting on your lower abdomen. Notice if anything's changed in the tilt of the water. Is it less tilty? Spilling off any different directions now, or is it more settled? And when you feel ready, take your time and roll all the way onto your side so you're not overly contracting in your chest or your abdomen. So you can really keep this quality with you as you sit up, taking your time to come to standing. And once you're in standing, still staying in the lesson, standing and walking and really spending some time feeling the influence on yourself, seeing if there's any words for your sensations.